Today is Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. My name is Lindsay. This is One Cat Crafting, a channel where I talk about all of my knitting, sewing, cross-stitch, spinning, sometimes geocaching and travel. Welcome. I started this channel several months ago in an effort to make some more crafty friends to chat with after attempts to set up an in-person meeting in my town that we moved to late last year failed. So as is normal for me, I will break out my craft journal and I go through things in the order that they appear in my crafting journal. I'm going to start first with my first whip that's in my calendar, which is Pigeon and Puddle. It is living in this very covered in cat hair bag that I made myself last month. This is a pattern by the Blue Flower. I'm using all of the called for threads, including the cottage garden threads, with one exception. I substituted, I believe there was an ecru or a white DMC that was called for, and I've substituted Daffodil by Roxy Flosco. I started this late May, I believe the last day of May, and this is where I am at so far. I will pop up some statistics about what percentage and how many stitches in I am. This month I put about 1,600 stitches into this project. I stitched on it off and on for the first week of June. Put that back into its bag. Sorry for the zipper noise. The second project that I worked on this month was a new start. It was Strawberry Naps by Lindy Stitches. I started this at my husband's family's property up in sort of, well, not northern Ontario, but central northern Ontario. In that property actually used to be a strawberry farm, and it is Strawberry Moon SAL time of the year, hosted by Marjorie Maid. So I've completed in one stitching session, which is all I put into this one, the entire outline of the cat. And you can see on here where I started at the middle of the pattern and did the line across to finish off that row of black stitches. And then I counted the entire outline and his little paws and closed eyes from that one line. So I mentioned so far this month, this has been a single stitching session. The day that it started, I put 549 stitches into it. And again, it was started on a strawberry farm for Strawberry Moon SAL. I'm using a combination of Roxy Flosco threads. A couple I ordered, a couple were from Stash. I'm not quite sure which colors I'm using for what yet, but I have done the cat in charcoal. I ordered a couple of new skeins of charcoal to replace what I would be using, and the older skein, which has the Leo and Roxy Flosco, is more of a slightly variegated black, whereas the newer skeins are a black blue almost, with obviously identifiable chunks of blue. There will always be some variegation between dye lots with yarn, with cross-stitch thread, with anything that is hand-dyed, and that's fine. So I will just do my best to finish the cat in the older skeins that I have so that he is a variegated black instead of a variegated black blue. And I'll pop up statistics about how many stitches I've gotten into this and how far along that project is. I also picked up Whale with Boat by Needle Lot Designs. I want to start maybe the peacock pattern that that designer has, and I have a made-up rule that I can only have one project per designer on the go. So I made an effort to get some more progress into Whale with Boat. I started this last year when we were going on vacation. And as is common with me in vacation, I didn't get very many stitches into it. But you did see this one if you were here for my whip parade. So I'll pop up a before photo from that whip parade, which was the last time that it had any progress. And this is where it's at now. So I've added part of the sun ray at the top and the coral on the bottom and filled in some of the whale. This fabric is a 16 count Aida by Easy Stitch for Fun. It is a printed fabric, which means that if I submerge this in water, apparently the color of the fabric will wash away. So when this is done, I will iron it only. I will not wash it or submerge it. And I'll pop up stats for how many stitches I got into this one and how far along it is. That pattern was worked on for 5 days so far this month. The next thing that is still a work in progress that I stitched on is my redesign of the Scary Sampler. I'll pop up a photo of where it was last time you saw it. This is a pattern by Heartstrings Samplery designed by Beth Twist. It has a lot of references to like the numbers from Lost are in there. You can see there's a lot of sci-fi stuff. I believe the Weeping Angels, Doctor Who thing, the little alien flower pods. I did not ever have an interest in stitching this entire thing. Afraid of aliens, didn't want any little alien flowers in a project that I'm working on. I do, however, love the quote and the tombstones and the weeping willow tree. So I redesigned, I'll pop up a photo from my charting software. And I took the quote, "I will die here where I have walked, and I will walk here though I am in my grave." And I took the tree and the tombstones with slight modifications and recharted it to be a memorial sampler for my grandfather. I grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted with him regularly, while my grandmother just kind of sat off to the side and rolled her eyes. And we had very similar beliefs in the afterlife. So I thought that this quote was very fitting for him and me and our relationship as a memorial. But I didn't want all the sci-fi stuff in there. So off the top of my head, by recharting it, I've eliminated about 20,000 stitches from the original pattern, which if I had stitched it as charted, would not, to me, have been a fit memorial sampler for him. The skeleton is just a little bit too much on the nose for me. And again, all the sci-fi stuff didn't apply to us. I'm using a combination of threads that are called for in the original pattern and fussing around with where some of them go. If you have a burning desire to know what stitches or what threads I've used where, just let me know. And this is where I am at now. I've completed all of the text that was done last time. Apparently I really like to do text. And since I've had it out last, I have filled in the monument, I've filled in the angel, I've done all of the grass that's done. And just last night I started doing the weeping willow leaves, branches, I'm not sure, behind the weeping angel. And I've customized the tombstone to be a size that fits his initials and his birth and death year and charted those in. I also changed I believe it was a crescent moon on the monument tombstone to be more of like a plaque looking situation. And the angel is a needle minder from Mad for Minders. So that's where I'm at for this one. I'll pop up all the stats on the screen. And that is it for active projects that I've worked on so far this month. I do, however, have a finish that I'm very excited about, but not excited enough to iron it and take all the cat hair off. I won't until I frame it. This is Meg the Moth Woman by Night Spirit Studio. I picked her up feeling like I needed a finish to get a whip out of my rotation on June 12th. And I worked on her the 12th, the 13th, and finished her on the 14th. This is a pattern by Night Spirit Studio. And she is all done. And I love her. The red eyes really brought it together for me. Is that a loose thread? It is. Yep, it's just an end. So the next time I am out shopping or thrifting, I will have recorded the measurements of her and taken a photo from my phone so that I can find a frame that's appropriate. Love her. See if we can get a photo for the YouTube cover. So that is Meg, the Moth Woman, again by Night Spirit Studio. Very unfortunately, the designer Sage passed away of cancer last year. And Sage's partner has taken over the business. I believe Sage had a bunch of designs that were produced before they passed away, and so those are now being released as a sort of means of ongoing income stream, I presume. So that is that for my June crafting to date. Except I forgot because it's not in the book. I started spinning a couple of months ago after a very long absence from spinning. We had something tragic happen and I related spinning to that thing and couldn't deal with it for a few years. So a couple of months ago, I decided that I needed to start spinning. I have so much beautiful fiber and equipment. It was a shame for it to just sit there. So I started spinning this project and I'm not finished it yet. I have, however, plied the entire first bobbin. So this is 2 plies of alpaca and 1 ply of Beach Fire by Small Bird Workshop, which is unfortunately now closed. They were a Canadian, not necessarily rare breed, but different specialty breeds fiber business. So this is what I have so far. Again, it's a 3-ply, 2 neutral plies, 1 a lot of silk ply, and it has been plied traditionally and it was washed and dried. It seems pretty balanced, so I didn't have anything to do thwacking or weighting it or anything like that. And this is, yeah, my first spin in a long time, so I'm proud of myself for that. I do still have a little bit of the main color left on a bobbin at home, so I will need to spin up some more of the 2 alpaca plies and ply those together before I truly call this project done. But the first bobbin is done and that's fantastic. It's been sitting on my kitchen table for a couple of months so that I can keep it out of the way of the dog, but it's still sort of front and center in my mind. I think that's it for the crafting that I've done so far this month. Wildlife transport. I did, my husband wasn't with me the day that this occurred. Wildlife transport for 3 wild bunnies, one of which was injured, and a newborn baby mouse that someone had found. So I'm going to, depending on the quality of the photos during editing, I'm going to show you what's printed in my craft journal now. I may also pop up a photo. So I've put a band-aid over the injured portion of the bunny so that everything looks normal. So there were 3 wild bunnies. In this instance, somebody was doing lawn maintenance and injured one of the 3 babies unintentionally and picked them up and removed them from their habitat, drove hours away intending to hopefully get the bunny some medical treatment and gift the other 2 wild rabbits to their children, which is not a good idea. So the wildlife rehab organization that we volunteer for, somebody else, another client of this person, had seen that they had wild rabbits and said, you can't just take them like that, they're not pets. So I picked them up and drove them to a rehabber who got them the medical attention that they required and will feed and care for them until they are ready to be released. The baby mouse, I'm not sure where they came from, but he was also taken to the same rehabber that cares for the squirrels. This is a picture of our very nearly 1-year-old golden retriever Lux. He was up north with us, and this was his first time swimming in the lake. He's been in streams before, but he had a great time. That's where I started the Strawberry Moon SAL. Beautiful still of a hummingbird, which I'm not sure you can see very well. My lighting is kind of janky. And another photo of Lux being adorable with his tongue out during a heat wave. I didn't mention it on this podcast. Back in April, we lost our oldest axolotl. Her name was Lou. There's a little photo of her. She was the oldest of our three. One had passed a couple of years ago of an infection. We had been giving him antibiotic injections, and the antibiotics couldn't keep up with the infection, and apparently it's not something that ever really resolves or goes away. It's just managed until it isn't. So we lost him a couple of years ago, and then, like I mentioned, in April we lost our oldest, Lou, and unfortunately in June, I had a feeling it was coming, we lost our last axolotl, Yoda, and she was this greeny one here. The one that passed from an infection several years ago was Knox, and he's over here. So unfortunately, we have no more pet axolotls, and we don't think we will get any more in the foreseeable future. When we first got them, we didn't have cats. And so my husband could put his arm in the tank and they would swim over to him and sit in his hand, and he would, sort of play with his finger in the water and they'd chase him. Since we now have two large Maine Coons, we can't do that. We can't risk leaving the tank lid open, even with my husband standing right there. Eugene is very wily. So for the safety of the axolotls, we won't be getting any more in the foreseeable future, unfortunately, but we had a great 6-7 or so years with those guys. And that's all that is in my June calendar for the month so far. I have a whole bunch of photos and little videos to show you. I love watching the hummingbirds when we're up north. I set my GoPro up on like a patio railing, and every time I see a hummingbird in front of it, I just take a quick photo or a video. I will have audio for some of them so you can hear their wings flapping. In other ones, I get so excited that there's a hummingbird, all you can hear is me yelling from in the house, Kevin, there's a green one. Kevin, there's a hummingbird. So some of them will have audio, some of them won't, depending on how restrained I have been. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. For a very long time, I have wanted this pattern. It is called Old Mustard Moon by Not Forgotten Farm. It's an old pattern. It's at least 2015. The chart is only available in paper. The graphic, like the photo, cover photo, is not great. The chart itself, I'll show you a little peep of it, is very challenging for me to see. It hasn't appeared to have ever been recharted in the time since it's released. A lot of the symbols are very similar. So I took this photo, or I recharted this pattern. I didn't ever want to stitch the vowels across the top, and I was on the fence about stitching the Old Mustard Moon. So I recharted some of the clouds, the moon, the house, and the trees, and I sort of fussed around with the layout a little bit. And I was going to put Strawberry Moon at the bottom and stitch it as part of the Strawberry Moon SAL. And then I realized that the Strawberry Moon is a full moon, and this moon is more of a crescent moon. And I didn't want to change it because I like his face. So now I've just left the font out entirely. Whenever I see a moon facing in this direction in a pattern, I always flip it. And I'm not sure why. It just bugs me when a moon is, anyway, facing in that direction. So I will pop up a photo from my charting software of what my mock-up looks like. The colors are somewhat flexible. I just used the symbols to match with the chart so that it was easiest for me. And now that it's not a Strawberry Moon, I don't know when I will get this one started, but I did take the time to rechart what I wanted from this. Yeah, it's a copyright 2015 in here, and it hasn't ever been digitized or cleaned up or anything like that. So it's a bit of a tough read from the pattern, but my charting software and a few hours of my time have fixed that up. And no reading so far this month. I mentioned last episode, my personality is it's like a light switch, completely obsessed or not at all interested. So the other month I read 9 or 10 books, and May, June, I haven't read any. I've been listening to music or podcasts only. And I think that's it. So I will leave you with some beautiful photos that I've taken in the last couple of weeks. There will be birds if you are afraid of birds like me, although I am working on it. probably lots of puppy photos. And I will see you again for a end of June, beginning of July podcast, right? I do as close to the first of the month as possible. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you shortly. Thanks for spending some time with me. Bye-bye. Hello, Editing Lindsay here. I forgot to mention I also recharted Cardinal Kin. I will pop up a photo of what the pattern looks like. And I removed the baby and put the two adult cardinals facing each other to represent two cardinals that come by my bird feeder all the time that I have named Todd and Margot. So I'll pop up what that chart looks like as I have fussed around with it, and again what it looks like as it is available for retail sale.
Are you very excited? Hey Mom, I can't talk right now. Lux! I can't talk right now, I'm very excited. Wait, where are we? Yeah. I don't want to go on vacation.